Now, is this recording? Okay, good. Now, for those of you who are wondering why this part took me so long to record, I finally got a message from Discord saying that they were able to figure out what was going on with my old account, so I told them to just delete it. That was about a week or two ago, and they finally got around to it. So, because of that, I have actually just made a Discord server. And for those of you who want to join it, I will be putting the link down below, because I know people have been talking about it and asking me to make one. So, if you guys just click the link and accept the invitation, you guys can actually come and chat with me on there. But tomorrow, I actually may not have an opportunity to chat with a lot of you guys. But it kind of really disappoints me, because tomorrow I have to work on my car and actually help finally get it fixed. And after that, oh, what's that buzzing? I think it's raining outside. Now then, because of that, after getting my car done, I might need a shower, get all the oil off me, and then go to work. Which, funny story, apparently one day they scheduled me to work on a day I thought I had off. And they nearly get put on points on my card for it. And if I were to miss that day, I would get 3 points, and if I get 5, I'm fired. Plus, they like to change on your schedule as soon as they think, oh hey, he's free, so just move his schedule around. So you notify him, nah, he'll be fine. Anyways, now, sorry about that. I needed to do that because it is very true. Now, I'm pretty sure it is raining outside. Now then, we are going to be starting off with the boss. Deku is actually in his buff form, and people are asking, well, Deku, he would actually be in his buff form whenever he arrives, and this is whenever Kendo, she would actually start asking Deku some questions. She's asking Deku why he's in that form already, because they're going to be getting on the bus to leave. Deku would just simply say that he can just shrink down as long as he doesn't exceed his power. And she would immediately remember Deku talking about that. So as soon as he would shrink down, which this would actually be his hero outfit, except it's actually a bit, these things are a bit more, they're stretchy, so they don't have to hang off his arms, so are his pants and his actual boots, along with his shirt, so his clothes don't actually rip. Now, as soon as they would get on the bus, people are actually asking Deku about his quirk, and Kirishima is actually really interested in Deku's quirk. He's telling Deku that he actually seems to be the strongest guy he even knows. Not just that, your quirk gives you fire abilities and super strength. What's all that about? This is whenever Deku, he would just say that his mother's quirk is a fire quirk, and his father's quirk was enhancement. Now, whenever he would say this, people would see that Deku's face. He actually got pretty irritated talking about his father, which Todoroki would have actually been able to take notice of, but he would just store that in the back of his head. Now, after this, Deku and everyone would arrive at the USJ. Now, 13 is explaining that they are going to need to actually learn how to properly control their quirks, because her quirk, she uses it for rescue, but it could be easily used to destroy. Which, if you think about it, a person with a black hole for a quirk can... Oh yeah, it is most definitely raining. Now, a person with a black hole for a quirk is literally stronger than All Might. Because, hey, All Might, you're gonna fight me? Immediately just sucks him into a black hole. What's gonna happen? He's gone. Now, this is whenever the League of Villains would arrive, and 13 would have actually gotten that portal trick on her. Now, as soon as this happens, Deku would have actually stepped forward, and people are seeing the smirk on his face. Now, as soon as they would see this smirk on his face, it would immediately change to this as he would begin buffing up, which is whenever he would actually get to be where he calls a symbol of strength. Now, as soon as he buffs up, Shigaraki would actually see this, saying that he didn't expect another pro just to teleport them. As soon as they would be teleported, Deku, he is actually falling, and as soon as he would see or realize he's falling, he would immediately go into his can. He would actually put his feet together and actually creating a giant splash, which actually would disrupt a lot of the area around them. Now, after this, Deku would immediately just rise to the top of the water, and he would just start splashing around, and as soon as he's actually able to get his hands above the water, he would just be able to push off with enough force to actually go send himself flying. Now, as soon as this happens, he would actually try buffing down, and he's aiming for the boat, which is whenever Sue would have actually grabbed him with her tongue, actually swinging him around, knocking him into the I was gonna say poop deck, but yeah, the poop deck. And as soon as that would happen, this is whenever she would ask if he's okay. He's saying it takes a lot more than that to injure him, and she just would shake him off, saying that you're really arrogant, aren't you, Midoriya? Deku would say, not arrogant, prideful. Now, Kendo would actually get onto the boat, and as soon as she gets on, this is whenever she would actually have to nurse an injury. Or, no, Sue would have actually gotten her on the boat. Now, this is whenever Deku, they're actually asking what they should do and what their plan should be, because this seems like a very coordinated attack. Deku would just be sitting against the wall, saying that Sue, this is not a coordinated attack. If it was, they wouldn't have sent you over to the water area. They would have sent you over there, as he would point to the fire area. Which is whenever she would ask, how does he know this? Deku would state that it's the most obvious place to send a frog. Because if he remembers correctly, frogs can die from dehydration. So, this is whenever she would just say that that's actually correct. They can also go into hibernation when it's too cold. Now, after that, this is whenever Deku would just tell them he just knows what they need to do. As he would just grab them, buff up quite a bit, and he would just bounce off the boat. Now, as soon as he would have done this, he would have immediately just landed back to where by the entrance, and Shigaraki would have seen them. Whenever Shigaraki saw them, this is whenever Deku, he would just put them down, saying that if they just stay behind him, he'll just take out these villains and just basically wait for the pros. Now, this is whenever Sue and Kendo are actually looking at the villains. Wait, did I? I just realized oh my god. I just realized I cut out the part, or I cut the other recording where I made Deku's dad's quirk and enhancement not fire, and I made his mom's a fire quirk. That is my bad. Deku's dad would still have fire breath because I said that he blasted fire at Deku. Or no, I said I need to go back over part 1. I've been a little too busy. Now, however I said it, that would be how I said it. I need to look over that because I've just been trying to figure out everything for this what if. Now, Deku, he would actually see that this is happening, and the Nomu would be deployed. As Deku's essentially walking around, just punching through villains, and actually letting off quite a bit of heat. Which is whenever Shigaraki would have actually started sweating, saying that it's getting very hot in here and he doesn't know what's going on. Deku would have turned to him, saying that, oh, that might just be me. Now, just so you know, my quirk has two categories. Not only can I enhance myself with sunlight, but you're reaching a bad point. This is not a lot of my power. So, you said you had something called a Nomu, correct? Is it the strongest one of you? Shigaraki would just hesitantly just say yes, thinking, why is he so nervous? Deku would say, good, good, bring it out. Which would actually surprise everyone, as the Nomu would actually step through a portal, and this Nomu is stronger. It has, let's see, super strength, shock absorption, and regeneration. I'm going to add a lava quirk, and, no, that's not right. Yeah, let me just throw in a lava quirk, because I really wanted to do this. Now, this is whenever the Nomu would immediately rush toward Deku after being told to attack. As soon as the Nomu would have actually charged toward Deku and threw a punch, this is whenever Deku would have immediately put his hand up, creating fire that would just engulf the Nomu. Now, the Nomu would actually charge through it, actually just punching into Deku's hand, creating a shockwave, and Deku would just smile, saying that that's impressive. He felt his hand tingle a bit, as he would immediately just retaliate with a punch to the Nomu's gut, actually making the Nomu spit lava straight onto Deku's face. As soon as that would have happened, Shigaraki would have just said, yes, they got the pro, as Deku would immediately just put his hand up, wiping it off his face, telling him that that's a very rude thing to do, and that my heat protects me at all cost. Now, as soon as Shigaraki would have heard my heat, he wouldn't have understood this, as Deku would immediately start burning the area around him. Now, this is actually a few chances Deku ever gets to actually use his quirk, because he usually just tries training it or stockpiling the energy, and he's only been focusing on trying to train the physical side of it, eventually trying to culminate its power into a form he can use perfectly. Now, after this, Deku would immediately just start throwing punches with the Nomu, and they're actually trading blows. They're actually flying all around the USJ fighting, which would actually astonish everyone as they're seeing Deku fight the Nomu, and he's actually buffing up more and more. Which people don't understand, because they thought he hit a limit, or he had a limit. Which is whenever Deku would eventually be uppercutted by the Nomu, and as soon as his head would have swung backwards and blood would have been drawn, he not only would he see it, but he's more concerned about what he sees in the sky. Directly overhead of him is the sun. Deku's eyes would have widened as he now realizes what is going on, as his body would just start increasing in size over and over again, which would everyone would be horrified as they just see one thing in front of them. The one thing standing between life and death for everyone in 1A. Deku would immediately just smash the Nomu down to the ground, killing it in an instant. As soon as that would have happened, the Nomu would try regenerating. It would get halfway done, as Deku would immediately just throw a slash across. He would throw an immediate slash across as he outstretches his hand, and as soon as he does this, the Nomu's head would be decapitated and immediately start bursting into flames, along with a shockwave which would actually cut down everything in front of it, making not pros, but making villains actually either dodge or try and jump over it. One of them would have actually had a hardening quirk, and as soon as they were hit by it, they would have actually fallen to the ground with an open wound that is actually cauterized. Because anything this blade touched essentially caught on fire. Now, as soon as they would have seen Deku in the form, some of them are dropping to their knees and praying. Others are trying to run through the portal. The rest of them are doing both. Now everyone's just hearing Deku's monstrous footsteps just boom, 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 boom. Just get louder and louder as he's moving towards them. Now, after this, Deku, he would immediately just start walking that direction, and All Might would have actually broken open the door at this point. Which Deku would immediately turn his head, as Shigaraki would have tried taking this advantage to try and catch Deku off guard. But as soon as he would immediately get anywhere close to him, he would get within 100 feet radius, and he would immediately just feel the intense heat, as he would actually drop to his knees, starting to cough. Deku would immediately just start walking closer, asking him if the heat is too much for him to bear. It's not very easy. Very few can withstand it. Those who can't really withstand me, though. It's really funny how that thing you said, what was it? Made to kill All Might. Interesting. I will give you one thing. I've never fought an opponent who's lasted more than 2 to 3 seconds with me. So, you did your best. Sadly, it wasn't good enough. Now, turn yourself in, or you can just suffer the same fate. As Deku would immediately just bring his hand up as he's slowly starting to increase in body mass. Shigaraki would immediately just freeze and put his hands up, saying that he'll comply, he doesn't want to die this way. He just wanted to take down Hero Society. As Deku would turn around, All Might would have grabbed his hand. Or All Might would have grabbed his hand and Deku would have actually turned around. And Kirigiri would have taken this opportunity to teleport him away. Now, after this, All Might would ask what happened, and everyone's describing different things. They were describing a earth-shattering battle, everything that happened, and All Might's actually asking Deku if he can turn down the heat. Which is whenever Deku would say he kinda can't right now, because he just went too far again. As he would immediately walk outside and jump off, leaving All Might there actually trying to figure out what's happening. As everyone's describing what Deku did, what happened, and essentially all their stories are matching up, which not only seems to somewhat frighten the pros, essentially they're all the exact same thing from different perspectives. And this is whenever All Might, he would have actually taken his time to start following Midoriya along with Bakugo. Bakugo would have actually followed Deku to a scorched forest, or a scorched earth part of the forest, which is essentially just a giant cave. Now, this is whenever Bakugo and All Might would actually walk in, and Deku would just tell them that they shouldn't have followed him, as they essentially see him struggling to try and shrink down, because he's just sitting there against the wall, just trying to calm himself down. Now, Bakugo would ask Deku if this is his hiding spot. Deku would say no. One day as a child, he was taken to this park, before he manifested his quirk. He uses this area to essentially make sure no one gets harmed. Baku would ask what he means, and Deku would explain, "One thing no one knows about my quirk that makes me the strongest, that makes me the most invincible man on the planet. Every second, I gain strength from the sun. Every single second, I grow stronger." Now, that is not an exaggeration. What you saw was essentially whenever the sun hits high noon, I reach a large jump in my power. I go from being around 100% to essentially 100,000%, which would immediately make Bakugo somewhat even more frightened, as essentially this is Deku whenever with 1 minute of invincibility, which he never thought was possible. So now he's thinking that Deku has a little more reason to be confident, as he would tell them that they need to leave because the energy he's let off is a bit too much. So he is going to try and shrink himself down, and he will come back when he can. Now then, this is... how far have I gone? Okay. I can cut it here, and I will be going over the next 2 weeks of the sports festival, along with some other training. Along with something special for everyone. Now, I think you guys are going to like this, because it's essentially going to be a project in development. Anyways, well then, like I have said, I have made a Discord server, and I will try and put the link below, but I just re-recorded this part because I did not like how it turned out. So, this part actually turned out a bit more badass than I thought. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And Merry Christmas. The clock's about to strike 12.